Is it acceptable that you have still not heard, at least publicly, from the Secret Service director?
Oh, I've heard from him.
Welcome to Sara Gonzales, Unfiltered. Boy, that was a doozy. Oh, I've heard from him. Oh, psych, Joe. That's a woman. Well, what is a woman? We don't actually know anymore. What an abysmal failure the Secret Service was and continues to be throughout this investigation as we find out more and more. But we can get into that in a little bit. I just, as the mainstream media and Democrat talking heads, they're like not able to criticize Donald Trump anymore, right? I mean, he just had an assassination attempt. And at least for the moment, after they said he didn't call to lower the temperature right after he was shot, for the moment, I think that they feel like, oh, well, we have to watch what we say. We have to be careful with our rhetoric. We don't want to be accused of amping anyone up because, I mean, that's just what we've done the last 8 years. We can't keep doing it. And so they've pulled out all the stops, all of the knives for his new running mate, of course, JD Vance. And I think a lot of people often listen to the mainstream media, which, first of all, you shouldn't do that. But they listen to these talking points and they just take them as true. And so I want to kind of go over what it is that they're saying and where the truth actually lies. So right after the announcement that JD Vance was going to be Donald Trump's running mate, the official Biden-Harris HQ X account shared this graphic, okay? It says, JD Vance supports Trump's Project 2025 agenda, says Project 2025 is full of good ideas, opposes marriage equality, compares abortion to slavery, supports a national abortion ban, opposes bipartisan infrastructure law, opposes ACA, 2020 election denier, kisses up to Putin and Russia, which, by the way, says Project 2025 is full of good ideas. Great. I'm in. I'm like, guys, I was already voting for this team. You don't have to keep selling me. Compares abortion to slavery. Okay, well, opposes ACA. Me too. Hashtag me too. 2020 election denier. Now we're really talking. All right. So here's a little bit more from the Washington Post. The radicalization of hillbilly elegy author and vice presidential pick JD Vance. The New York Times, a political newcomer and former Trump critic turned ally, Senator Vance is an ambitious ideologue who relishes the spotlight and has already shown he can energize donors. Now, they, of course, said former Trump critic turned ally because Vance actually was a very strong critic of Donald Trump in the past. He called him cultural heroin. He said that he feared that Donald Trump could be America's Hitler. But the important part is that he has since recanted and did what most politicians never do and admit that he was wrong. So he owned his own claims and he admitted that he was wrong, which, again, seems like a breath of fresh air to me. Okay, so let's debunk some of these other claims about JD Vance, the man who is Donald Trump's new running mate. So, of course, JD Vance, Republican, white male, he hates women. He must hate women. So Joy Behar, over at The View, accused him of forcing children who are raped or victims of, incest from rape to give birth. Here's that.
He's very big on, he's against all abortion, no matter what, except maybe if the mother's life is in danger. So if a child is raped by her uncle or her father, God forbid, that child must bring that baby to term, according to Vance.
Again, first of all, if you're getting your news from Joy Behar, I feel like you're already screwed. You're already too far gone for me to save. But, in the event that you'd like some truth, let me give it to you. And I'm not going to try to tell you what JD Vance has to say. I'll just let him explain it himself. Watch.
Look, I think two wrongs don't make a right. At the end of the day, we're talking about an unborn baby. What kind of society do we want to have? A society that looks at unborn babies as inconveniences to be discarded?
Should a woman be forced to carry a child to term after she has been the victim of incest or rape?
Look, my view on this has been very clear, and I think the question betrays a certain presumption that's wrong. It's not whether a woman should be forced to bring a child to term, it's whether a child should be allowed to live, even though the circumstances of that child's birth are somehow inconvenient or a problem to the society. The question really to me is about the baby. We want women to have opportunities, we want women to have choices, but above all, we want women and young boys in the womb to have the right to life.
I mean, I would say it is in our founding documents, the right to life. Our founders were pretty clear on that. Here's another one. They always say this about Republicans. Oh, my goodness, do Republicans, JD Vance is going to work for the rich, not for the poor. Joe Biden tweeted out, here's the deal. Here's the deal about JD Vance. He talks a big game about working people, but now he and Trump want to raise taxes on middle-class families while pushing more tax cuts for the rich. Isn't it cute that the Democrats are constantly projecting onto Republicans what they themselves are guilty of? Like if you had to pick a party who was in with the elites, who was in with the rich, who was in with Silicon Valley, would it really be the Donald Trump Republicans? No, of course not. So the truth of the matter is, of course, JD Vance told the New York Times he opposed higher taxes for the middle class. All right. He said, I'm not philosophically against raising taxes on anybody, but you have to ask yourself, what are the taxes we're raising and where are they coming from? Raising middle class taxes, I don't like that idea for obvious reasons. You can get some revenue out of raising taxes on wealthy Americans, but there's no way that you can run an economy at a structural growth rate of around 1% with demographics that are getting worse and worse and solve the problem by taxing rich people. I mean, honestly, all I really needed to tell you was I don't like that idea for obvious reasons. That's what he said. So to try to claim that he wants to raise the taxes on middle class people is just absurd. Now, here's another one. Vice Media and the White House. They're saying that he compared abortion to slavery in an interview with Catholic Current. Well, that, of course, is not the case, as you might imagine. Here is what JD Vance had to say about that. Watch.
You have described yourself as 100% pro-life.
Sure.
What do you think about what's happening in Texas?
Well, I think in Texas, they're trying to make it easier for unborn babies to be born. There is a view common among leaders of the Democratic Party that babies deserve no legal protections in the womb. That is a common view in the Democratic Party. All I'm saying is that view's wrong. It is.
He went on to say that slavery and abortion have a morally distorting effect on the entire society, which I also don't disagree with. But you still see the left just constantly. I mean, didn't we see this coming? Didn't we already know that this was going to happen, that they were going to paint whoever Donald Trump's running mate was into a total extremist, into a far-right, ultra-MAGA extremist? Do you remember when they were talking about Ron DeSantis and everyone was floating around, well, what if Ron DeSantis is Donald Trump's running mate? What if Ron DeSantis is the guy? He's in the primaries now, and the left knew that they had to turn Ron DeSantis into some sort of extremist, which was so cute because you had some people arguing that he was a rhino, and then the leftists on the other side saying that he was a far-right extremist. It's always about painting them as extremists. Well, you wouldn't be shocked to hear that Van Jones, of course, over on, I guess it was CNN, was like, yeah, I mean, you think that Donald Trump's bad, but JD Vance is actually way more extreme than even him. Watch.
You know, part of the reason that JD Vance matters isn't for these kind of short-term electoral calculations. He matters because of what he means to the Republican Party long-term. This is cementing a kind of nationalism. Yeah. Now, Trump, to your point, I agree with you. He's an instinctive, impulsive, intuitive nationalist. JD Vance is an ideological nationalist. That's a much more dangerous virus because he can make this, he can polish this stuff and make it seem palatable to people. He can sell this stuff to Silicon Valley. He can sell this stuff other places. And what it does is it locks the Republican Party on a pathway that I think is dangerous for the world.
Oh, no, not the Republican Party on a pathway, Van. Oh, no. And you notice, by the way, they keep throwing around this word nationalist. Oh, no, he's an ideological nationalist. Like that's supposed to be a bad thing. You know, I'm old enough to remember a time where it was like okay to love your country, where it was okay to say like, hey, we should be putting our country before we, putting our country first before we send money to Ukraine or any other, pet projects that the Democrats have. Do you remember when like it was cool to just say like, yeah, actually, I am a nationalist. I do love my country. And now it's supposed to be a dirty word. It's not. They didn't say white nationalist, right? Because they know they can't say that. It's not true. So now they want to paint you dirty if you care about your country. That, by the way, they're bringing more and more into the shitter every single day. But I'm supposed to be like, oh, JD Vance is a nationalist. Oh, no, please bring it on. I can't wait to vote for Trump Vance 2024. All right. When we get back, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So look, Relief Factor is there for those of you who you live in constant pain. You think that that's just the way life is. Maybe you were in a car accident like me, or maybe you've just reached the age where things hurt. The point is, if you don't want to hurt anymore, okay, if you don't like how you feel throughout the day, if you don't like that there's constantly nagging pain in your life, try Relief Factor. It's an all-natural anti-inflammatory. It was developed by doctors who were like, we don't want to give our patients these really strong medications that make them loopy all the time. We want to give them not only something that's not going to make them feel like that, but also is going to target the root cause of their pain, which is, of course, the inflammation in their body that is causing that. So it's not going to be a temporary solution where, you like rub a cream on you and you're like, oh, it's cool. And then it's hot. And then it's gone and you're in pain again. All right. Try their 3-week quick start. It is $19.95, and 70% of the people who order it go on to keep ordering more. That's how many people it's working for. It can work for you. The odds are in your favor that it will. And if not, they have a guarantee. So you've got nothing to lose except your pain. You can go to relieffactor.com. That is relieffactor.com. I want to welcome to the show Jaco Booyens, BlazeTV contributor and host of The Bottom Line, along with Eric July, BlazeTV contributor and founder and owner of Ripaverse Comics. I'm glad that you guys are here. And as we continue to hear more information come out about just how horrible the Secret Service was at doing, it's one of those, you had one job, keep the president from getting shot. And they couldn't do that. And so we can talk about that. But I also want to talk about the seems to be shocking number of leftists on social media who are like very upset that the assassination attempt was only an attempt, right? That Donald Trump didn't actually die. I mean, they're very upset about that. And I want to talk a second more specifically about one of those people. His name is Destiny. I'm sure, Eric, you know who that is.
I've done a show with him. So
okay, yeah. I'm not sure how familiar you are with him, Jaco, but he's this.
But it sounds bad already.
And he goes by the name Destiny, so you already know it sucks.
If my brother's already encountered this species, then I don't need to.
So, well, I have too. So let's get to that. So he's this, he streams his video games, right? He's a video game streamer, but also sort of turned into a political commentator who identifies as a very big social democrat. I would call him a very big loser. But and a couple years ago, I was part of this Better Discourse conference where I was on a stage with Destiny and debated him on a lot of things about the American identity, but specifically the topic of vaccines came up. And here was some of that exchange. If your mask works, if your vaccine works, if your child's vaccine works, you shouldn't have to worry about my child. My child is not a threat to you.
I don't.
If you believe in your science, then believe in your science. You're fine. And if you don't and you're worried about my child, what does that say?
I cannot understand how conservatives are so bad with probability. Absolutely blows my mind. If your seatbelt works, why do you have an airbag? If your airbag works, why does your car crumple? If this all works, why do you care about other drunk drivers? You can make the dumbest face in the world, but this every single thing
not
that
at
you
all
do,
a great analogy.
All right, that's enough.
So, not a good guy. He also called my children bioterrorists because they are not vaccinated. Not what I would call a good guy, but nevertheless, there are a lot of really big figures on the right, Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, and they were like, we respect him. We'll have him on. We respect his ability to articulate his positions. But I just want to show you, here's your guy, okay, giving his position on July 13th after this attempted assassination. He said, I'm honestly conflicted on how I feel about the shooting, but we'll chat about it on the stream tomorrow. You're conflicted. Oh, he said, let me clarify. When I say conflicted, what I mean is that I lean towards seeing it as a natural extension of the Trump and MAGA kids' support. So I don't think I have much sympathy about the attempt enough to chastise people celebrating it. And he said, if we learned anything today, I hope it's realizing the importance of principles I've stressed many times on stream before. Having a firearm means absolutely nothing if you don't spend time at the range practicing with it. Oh, and then he wasn't done. He went on, LOL, I'm sorry, but soy raging out over this when conservatives have been unhinged for the past 8 years is beyond stupid. I'm way the over it. Remember all the conservative dipshits talking about principles today who have joked about Pelosi's husband getting beaten or celebrated all kinds of violence against minorities or progressives or other people they consider undesirable. I'm still waiting on the examples of the times that Republicans have celebrated violence against minorities. He said, I'm way over it. They reap what they sow, and I'm here to watch the harvest. So my question is it a fair comparison, guys? He considers himself to be like, the best of the, he's such a good debater. Oh, he's bringing up these analogies. You just said that you wished that Donald Trump had been killed, had been murdered, and you want to compare it to conservatives making a joke about Paul Pelosi. He doesn't sound like he's joking to me.
No, well, he's not. He doubled down. I think the more damning thing was some of the streams that he was doing, or the stream that he was doing when he was conversing with other people. There were folks that flat out asked him, like, hey, man, what if this was your, mother? I believe their parents is what he was talking about. Somebody had asked him about it because they were trying to, it's funny, it was a caller trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. It was like basically pulling a so you're saying card, because he's like, there's no way, I respect you far more. You can't possibly be saying that. Destiny doubled, triple, quadrupled down, essentially saying if his own parents went to that rally and got offed, so be it, right? He obviously had zero sympathy, laughed at the guy that actually ended up passing, was the fire he worked with, the firefighter ended up passing away from this. Yeah, and look, this is...
Hold on. Just for reference.
Yeah.
He posted a picture of the bloody bleachers. To your point, he posted a picture of all the blood from that guy dying and said, all I see is Biden up +1 in Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
these are the voices of the left. Okay.
They want you dead, and Destiny is... I wasn't really sure why so many people on the other side found him favorable. I guess I can try to understand that he is a debater, but oftentimes when he's debating, he needs like his phone because he's always like looking up what he needs to say and stuff. So I guess he is well spoken and he's great on his toes. Again, I've shared the stage with him as well. I've had minor disputes with him on various topics as well. Nonetheless, he does represent, I believe, a significant amount of people that are on the left.
That's the problem.
And he's speaking this stuff out loud because, well, he can do that. He's not going to see the similar ramifications that if you or I were on Blaze or something and we had said exactly what he said, we would probably be in trouble. Mm-hmm. Everything's getting demonetized. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there's that double standard there. But more importantly, I think what the American people need to look at is this is how a lot of people feel about you. And it's dangerous. And more importantly, guys, and I think, Sarah, I probably brought this up on your show before. People that are on our side oftentimes are always trying to analyze things because we're like over analytical in some cases, where we don't want to believe that someone could come to that position unreasonably. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes the only way that we can explain this is that they're just evil. Right. They do want you dead. They don't like you. They would prefer that you get out of the way. They attack everything it is that you stand for, your set of morals, ethics, all that good stuff. And we want to try to reason with them, and not necessarily reason with them, but reason with them as far as how they got to that situation, when really it's easily explainable, and it's that they're evil. It's that simple. They are evil people, and they're just showing themselves right now.
And then, of course, they're projecting themselves onto us by saying the things that we've not just heard from Destiny, but many people on the left talking about, how somehow we're the violent ones. We celebrate violence against minorities. All this is like that doesn't exist. You're just making that up. And so to Eric's point, Jaco, Destiny, after all of this, tripled down on it and said, I want to profusely apologize to any Trump supporters in my audience that I've misled into thinking I view them as anything beyond the unpatriotic, treacherous, anti-American scum that they are. Doing my best to rectify that ASAP.
Yeah, so let me, because I deal with human behavioral science every single day. This guy's not a good debater. Ben Shapiro
He just talks fast.
Does not matter. Does not matter. Ben Shapiro and anybody that has given this guy any credit, maybe you need a wake-up call, okay? This guy talks in an echo chamber on a Twitch channel to little people that tell him he's important. He's not important. Nothing is original. What you're seeing in this human being is a human being that has no self-love, that has no sense of self, that has no sense of worth, that doesn't value life. If you don't value your own life, you won't value any life. He can be swept up into any movement. He can be bought. He has no spine. He has no voice of his own. This guy is literally Pinocchio attached to 100 puppeteer strings of society. This guy is a sorry, sad loser that doesn't value himself. He gets no credit and doesn't deserve 4 minutes on this show. Let's go on to Jack Black. Okay? Where Hollywood goes on a stage and Jack Black sings Happy Birthday, and to an audience of 5, 10, 15,000 people say, next time, don't miss Trump.
It was Kyle.
Kyle
that said it.
But it was Jack Black's band. It was Jack Black's band.
Whatever it was, right?
Nations did. Yep.
But it's Hollywood.
Yeah.
It is Madonna saying, let's assassinate a president. It's Johnny Depp saying, when last did an actor assassinate a president? When do we follow up on these things for inciting violence? Is that not what J6 was all about?
Right, that's what
was J6 not all about, hey, grandma walked into the Capitol and grandma's going to jail? Right. Do we not have people basically in Guantanamo Bay conditions still?
Right.
Because they walked into a building? So when did we go after the people that incited violence?
Right.
Or do we forget 2021? Do we forget George Floyd? Do we forget the measures they play with? And here we go again. We play by a different measure. We didn't set the world on fire when Trump got shot. We didn't go into the streets with the 430 million legally owned guns in this country, because if we want to, we can turn this thing upside down in a minute.
Yeah.
But we're civil. We actually believe in a constitution. We believe in the republic. We actually are one nation under God, our side of the equation. This guy you're talking about, he's literally demonized. He's a demon. He's spewing venom and hate and death and live by the sword.
Yeah.
It's going to be easy.
I will just say, not that I'm in the habit of giving Jack Black credit for anything ever, but he did, I read today, so his bandmate came out on stage and said his birthday wish was that he wanted someone to not miss next time. I don't know that I have it verbatim, but that was the general idea. Like, don't miss next time someone wants to shoot at Trump. And Jack Black did come out earlier this morning and announced that he was canceling the tour. He just ended the tour. He was like, hey, I had no idea that comment was going to take place. And you know what? Given all of that, I am ending this tour and I have no creative plans coming up.
Well, good for Jack Black to make that. And it wasn't Jack who said it. I meant at the Jack Black event and his band. It's a bandmate. Right. But he probably understands that, hey,
I feel bad for him now.
Well, a lot of people that buy your tickets,
yeah,
a lot of people that watch your movies, Hollywood, are actually not of your belief system. You actually may find out that you're actually supported. Half of you are underwritten by conservative dollars, which is why we always say, hey, can we start voting with our dollar? Can we stop supporting these people?
Right.
But I'm just the duality and the double standards. And I'm particularly also, Sarah, looking at the reaction from the right, not demanding more answers. We're kind of dealing here with now, we know that snipers were in the building below the shooter.
In the building.
He's laying on top of them.
On the roof.
They took a photo of him.
The building. They noticed him 3
Took
times.
a photo of him.
Took a picture of him because he was so suspicious. He kept leaving and coming back. He came back with a backpack. He came back with this. He came back with
a rangefinder.
A rangefinder.
Not binoculars. Was stopped by a cop.
Yes. Now, to your point, not only did that happen, but the Secret Service director, Kimberly, said, oh, well, we didn't want to have someone on that roof, even though we saw that it was 130 yards away, and it would have been a very obvious security issue. But the roof was slightly sloped.
It was marked as a security risk building.
But the roof was slightly sloped.
And it's
Jaco.
dangerous to put a Secret Service
We wouldn't want to put them in
on a
harm's
sloped
way.
roof.
That's
the
kind of the
20-year-old didn't
point.
care because the actual slope had helped him to hide.
Well, I mean, I would say if you sign on to be Secret Service, kind of the entire point is that you are going to put yourself in harm's way in order to save the president. Like, that's kind of your whole freaking job. And so then, I mean, look, you cannot convince me right now that there was not something more sinister happening, that there was not some sort of inside job or something happening. But let's pretend like this is just incompetency, which I don't believe. This is the entire issue with having women in the Secret Service. Like, we are not wired the way that you guys are wired. I am not wired to be like, I'm going to put you right here because you have to expect that you could die at any moment for this person. Like, we just are not wired that way to make those decisions, and we couldn't be making them.
That's not the mindset. Don't sign up for the job. Were you hiring a girl from Pepsi? Pepsi?
A lot of security risks at Pepsi, I guess.
To run the Secret Service. And today she says, I'm staying on. And she's going to be allowed to stay on.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I talked to Jaco about this. Do you think that this was...
Well, I've talked about this extensively.
It was just
none of it makes any sort of sense. It's something nefarious is going on. I mean, I called it from the get-go. I mean, as soon as I saw the actual, more or less as a drone footage or picture of the actual layout, and you see that 130 yards out or however long, I mean, it's a clear shot at the stage. And I'm like, well, if you are a guy that wants to do bad things to the guy that's going to be on that stage, that's probably the perfect place to be.
That's where you're going.
And the fact that nobody understood that, and then we get this story where instead of, phoning this in, you got what they reported, and I think it's bogus, but what they reported was that one officer hoisted another officer to get on the ledge. And I'm like, what kind of raggedy shit, excuse my language, is that you know that he's there? And what are we, just Rochambeau, whatever it is, game of chicken, we're going to put a guy on my shoulders or whatever and tell you to get up there. And then he had enough time, right? Which again leads me to believe this is the part that doesn't make sense. So even if people is like, well, the cop was hoisted up there and he's on the ledge and then he gets a gun pointed at him and he just pulled a Uvalde and said, oh, snaps, I'm out of here. Okay, let's accept that that's true. Shouldn't be, but let's accept that that's true. Guy must be one hell of a shot because he went from pointing his gun at him, and then, guys, people need to understand, he was dead on target, man. He shot him it's a headshot. Yes. He just missed. He just barely missed because
Trump turned his
head.
Trump
turned his head.
Aim for the chest.
But that was a head shot. Yeah. So maybe there's more time that was allotted between that situation. Either way, it stinks. Something else is going down, man.
He stopped by the cops walking towards the event with a rangefinder, okay? The second you tag a guy, the rule is when you stop somebody and you tag him, you notify him, you tell law enforcement, here's the guy, glasses, blonde hair, to the shoulders, here's what he's wearing, watch him. Anytime you see him again, you put hawk eyes on that guy. What do you got there? A rangefinder? Is it binoculars? You have to ask. Are you stupid? Are you it's a golf range. Rangefinder. Why do you need a range?
Right.
What are you doing, rangefinder? I'm just walking. Get on a Secret Service taking a photograph of a dude laying on a roof. Photograph. This guy shot the president. Didn't shoot at the president. Hit the president. Laying on the roof with Secret Service in the building. What do you think Russia says about our? What do you think they say about our competency in this country?
I know, and I'll just me speculating because again, my brain is trying to make sense of it. Okay, and the details that we have right now, nothing makes sense. Yeah. To Eric's point, why is an officer hoisting another officer onto the roof when we've seen pictures of a freaking ladder?
Yeah, that's what I said. That's why I said. So he's hoisting them up. Was the ladder there or not? They say his ass was climbing the ladder. So y'all was
right
again.
Why are you
game of chicken? Oh, I don't know what they're playing here. Where they're hoisting them up, and then the guy's like, "Oh, snaps! You pointed a gun at me. Let me go off the ledge."
Right. Like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, what?
Well, hold on. So let me just add one more piece to that. Again, my brain is trying to process this because it doesn't make sense, which is I had a former sniper, Green Beret, sniper on yesterday, and he said if you look at the pictures of the bullet looks like it was shot from basically the same height.
Flat trajectory, yeah.
Correct.
But it's short range now. That bullet's not going to dip. It's not going to dip at that short range. 120 yards is nothing, Sarah.
Well, I'm just saying, could it have come from inside that building?
Possibly. We have to
and then that would make sense as to why the counter snipers waited to take down a patsy.
I don't see how. There was two. They said there were two counter snipers, and none of them needed approval to take the damn shot.
Right, correct.
So I'm sitting here like, okay, and I saw the picture.
You're
right?
watching
you got
them
one
look.
over here, one over here.
And
You
look,
got a
they
direct
shot
line
him.
of
They
sight
had
at
him
that
in their
guy,
glass,
and
right?
you eventually hit him anyway. So that wasn't an issue, right? So you knew he was
They
there.
saw him. They
That
saw
makes
him.
no sense
No.
that his
They
ass
saw
was
him,
sitting
Eric.
up there,
No.
and nobody saw him. Nobody saw Sarah.
I know.
Look,
Eric.
I know.
I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I understand
let
that,
me-
but come on, man.
Let me
know,
tell you this.
I know.
A guy shoots a president. Did he not? They take him down in Dallas, Texas into a library. Nobody sees him alive again.
Right.
I'm just letting you know. They waited for him to get shots off. By the way, last thing.
Yeah.
You pull a gun on a cop, immediate reason for a cop to fire. Immediate.
Yep.
So you want to tell me he point a gun on a cop on a roof and they just go, oops, he's got us.
Well, he was too busy being hoisted.
Then they
by
said
the
he,
other
yeah,
officer.
hoisted. Then they said he panicked, but maybe he panicked shot. All right, I pointed a gun at you.
Yeah, it's called
now
like,
I pointed at the
like
president
ponytail,
again.
Like ponytail panic. Like ponytail
I don't know.
panic.
I
It's
don't know
called
what's going
DEI, freaking affirmative action crap.
It doesn't make sense. It
stinks,
just
bro.
none of it makes sense. I will say, I know we got to go to break, but I will say I've wondered throughout this if Donald Trump has gotten a different opinion now on whether or not he wants to release all of the JFK files, because he was going to, and then he stopped it at the last
You see
minute.
when he
I
walked into
wonder.
the convention, all men around him.
Yes, yeah.
No chick.
Right.
All men around him.
Yep, I
No
know.
offense,
And
but-
what happened to those women's Secret Service? Oh, it turned out they sucked. All right, we got to take another quick break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Cardio Miracle. Okay, so it's a game changer. I love it. I take it every day. So let me tell you about it. It's sourced with 50 of the finest food, plant, herbal ingredients and best natural flavors in the world. And it tastes great. And so it gives you like, I should just say this. My experience has been, it has given me a lot of energy, and it helps with vitamin depletion. If you're taking prescription meds that you don't want to be taking, maybe you just want a better night's sleep, you need to take a look at Cardio Miracle. You do 2 scoops twice a day, and it actually stimulates your body's natural healing pathways to produce the miracle molecule nitric oxide. And that is why this product, Cardio Miracle, can give natural healing pathways such a boost. Heart disease, diabetes, kidney disease, Alzheimer's, dementia, and more. Cardio Miracle is great for anyone who needs any sort of help, even during hormonal changes. They've got a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you've got nothing to lose. Go to cardiomiracle.com/Sarah. Use code Sarah for 10% off your first order. Subscribe and save. You'll get 15% off with free shipping. That is cardiomiracle.com/Sarah, code Sarah. Interesting thing trending on social media. So apparently, following the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, he actually got on the phone with RFK Jr. And a lot of people were speculating, well, Donald Trump just called RFK Jr. It was like a 2-hour phone call. Maybe he was asking him to be his vice president. But I can't speculate on what else their conversation was about. But there were a couple of clips that were leaked, and they actually talked about a topic that I think you guys will find very interesting here. I'm going to give you some of the audio of that. Watch.
It's
Or
really,
listen.
man, something's wrong with that whole system.
Talking about vaccines.
And it's the doctors you find. Remember I said I want to do small doses. Small doses. When you feed a baby, Bobby, a vaccination that is like 38 different vaccines, and it looks like it's meant for a horse, not a 10-pound or 20-pound baby. It looks like you should be giving a horse this. And do you ever see the size of it, right? It's just massive. And then you see the baby all of a sudden starting to change radically. I've seen it too many times. And then you hear that it doesn't have an impact, right? But you and I talked about that a long time ago.
Now, I know that the left will be very quick to call Donald Trump anti-vax. He's going to be the new anti-vaxxer, even though, by the way, he's the one that gave you guys the COVID shot that you love so much. So try to fit those pieces together. But I was very encouraged to hear him speaking to RFK. Now, look, I get it. This phone call was supposed to be private. It was leaked.
Who leaked this?
RFK Jr.'s son. He was very upset because he said Donald Trump is saying these things in private that he's not saying in public, and he needs to say them in public. And I understand the sentiment, but if you can slowly, just very slowly give him breadcrumbs, he sounds to me like he's waking up. If he's willing to come out and say, giving them, I'm for giving them smaller doses because you're talking about giving a baby the same dosage that you're giving a grown adult, and you're telling me that there's no difference. Of course there's a difference. And that's what he seems to be saying here. And I'm like, listen, if you can wake someone up by just slowly turning on the light, I'm fine with that, as opposed to just flipping it directly on. Like, I'll take that, as opposed to the Donald Trump who's going out on stage, introducing the Johnson & Johnson owner and talking about how the COVID vaccine is so great.
Yeah, we got to also understand Jared Kushner's past and his history and his family and the connection to Big Pharma and where all that came from and the pressure and all that. I agree with you. At least he's waking up. I think we're going to see a whole lot of waking up by Donald Trump after God saved his life. Not Secret Service or anybody else. Literally, God said no to Satan. I think there may be a play here where you're going to see a cabinet position for RFK Jr.
What cabinet position do you think?
Something in health.
I agree.
Something in healthcare. Something in something
human services or
something
like director of the CDC.
CDC probably.
FDA.
Somewhere in there. I think he is positioning because he respects RFK's position on this. And look, the man is staunch on fighting vaccines, hardcore. I think he could do really well in one of those positions. RFK could.
I would also say, he is staunch, but I would also say he is one of the most educated people in the entire country on vaccines, and I'm including doctors.
Yeah, no question.
That when I say one of the most educated, it is his thing. Yeah. It is his passion. Yeah. And doctors go through med school and don't get the type of education that he is giving himself by looking into studies, by doing studies, and just all of his
speaking to parents.
Yes.
The guy's done an enormous amount of work.
Yeah, so I would consider him far more credible than your local pediatrician if you're not going to a pediatrician that is awake. But I know everyone at this table has been so critical of Donald Trump's position on Operation Warp Speed and, just how terrible his decisions were about the COVID vaccine. I felt good about this.
Yeah.
Eric's like, nah.
No, not quite. Because to me, this is one of the ones where he really screwed up on this, terribly. And not saying that I'd ever forgive him for that, because that was a disastrous screw up. The fact that he kept campaigning on it was what really pissed me off, because he's doubling down and tripling down, basically trying to take credit for this whole ordeal. When I'm like, man, you kicking that off helped kick off one of the biggest wealth transfers in human history, and that's on your head.
Declaring that national emergency was a disaster.
That was on you. Operation Warp Speed was on you. You wrote that, or your obviously you didn't write the damn deal, the emergency orders or any of that stuff. But Operation Warp Speed, people need to understand, if you're like, man, Big Pharma, they're the ones getting paid and they're the ones that are getting this sort of immunity. Look no further than Operation Warp Speed. Now, if you want to play the fool or say he was playing the fool and didn't necessarily know what was in it, not going to let him make that, but it was terrible. And I can't even emphasize enough, if you have a position on the jab, like any of us here at the table, you have to look to Trump to that. And I'm going to be completely honest, I will go a step further. He needs to apologize for it. Like, damn this old, because to me, I haven't heard him say jack diddly. We sat here and bitched and moaned so much about what happened with that jab. And then I'm sitting there, the more I thought about it, because, I've talked about it on my show and I've talked about it before. The more I thought about it, it's like, Trump's feet ain't getting held to the fire nearly as much as what it should be because he popped it off. So, yeah, we gripe about Fauci and everything else, but specifically with Big Pharma, that's on him. That was on Operation Warp Speed. If you want to get mad at that wealth transfer, you have to get mad at Donald Trump. So he needs to not only abandon that position, I would feel comfortable or far more comfortable about Trump if he just flat out and came out and said, I got it wrong. And I didn't just get it wrong. It cost people's lives and it cost people livelihood because I got it wrong. Like, that would be the man thing to do. Now, because he's in our camp or in the quote unquote rights camp, not necessarily mine, but you get what I'm saying. Like, everybody here would favor him far more over Joe Biden. You want to give him far more of the benefit of the doubt. But on this specific issue, I'm not talking about the other ones. I'm not talking about the bump stock
can be right at the same time.
I'm talking about on this specific issue, which is something I was very, very passionate about over the last 4 years. He got that wrong. So if RFK, if any of these guys can get into his head, not just that, okay, yeah, you have the wrong position, but that was on you. And there's a lot of people in this country that are looking to you for what you did out of the whole COVID.
And we cannot go there again.
No, we can't. Ever again. That's why it needs to be demonized. That's why it needs to, he needs to come out and say, guys, I got it wrong. Because let's say it happens again. Let's say, unfortunately, Biden won. You don't think he's going to be referencing the precedent that was set if he wants to enact something else? You think he won't point to Operation Warp Speed?
Yeah.
You a damn fool. That's exactly what he's going to do. That's exactly what he's going to do. So I think there needs to be some sort of movement, per se, in which he has to answer for that. If Fauci's got to answer for it, Trump's got to answer for it.
You're not getting humility from Fauci, but I think some humility from Trump would go a long way, particularly in those supporters of his who lost family members. We did.
Yeah.
Philippa's aunt, literally, direct, my mom, vaccine injury. 100%. There's no question.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Yeah. All right. Well, I was just trying to give some good news, and you
my bad. My apologies.
We have good news. He's alive.
That's true.
Well, that is very good news.
He's alive.
All right, let's go ahead. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. So obviously day one of the RNC was last night, and I'm told that I'm not allowed to play videos because of copyright issues, which is just super lame, and I'm working on that, okay? But I want to talk generally. I'm sure that you guys saw some highlights or lowlights from the RNC, and they featured Amber Rose as one of their speakers. Now, she actually she spearheaded the event called Slut Walk to oppose slut shaming, and she wanted to normalize being a whore. Self-proclaimed feminist. I mean, I'm not she's got a face tattoo. I'm not here to shame anyone, but I don't know, when you brag about being a whore, I kind of feel like you're putting yourself out there to be shamed. She's very, very pro-choice. Just seems like a very strange.
Why is she there?
That's what I'm asking. Of all the speakers that you could have.
Under the sun. There's a plethora.
I understand wanting to have, I understand the idea of we want a big tent. But you can say, sure, you can attend. If you'd like to buy a ticket and you'd like to attend, you're welcome to attend. If you want to vote for Donald Trump, we're not here to talk you out of it. But I don't know why we have to elevate you at our event. That's my problem. I think that there's a big difference in saying all are welcome. Okay, that's fine. But understand these are our platforms and these are our ideas, and we're not moving to you. If you'd like to move to us, that's fine. But I'm not going to try to talk you out of being here or voting for our party. Your thoughts?
Look, this is an interesting one because there's a heated debate happening right now about her being there, right? And Amber Rose is, an interesting cat, that's for sure. Particularly, apparently she still has an active OnlyFans, right now. And that's it.
She really?
That's what is being reported. So
the RNC invited an OnlyFans whore.
Yeah, well, she's more known for more of her contributions or lack thereof to the hip hop scene. Again, using that, her contributions to it is what I'm saying, which is more or less her just dating other people, being in music videos, and being a vixen, I guess is more the term that they use to call folks like her. And yeah, she, you want to be open to at least people get there when they get there, right?
Sure.
Some people have different walks of life. Some people have been there longer than others. Some people have just arrived. I can tell you what they thought. What was going through their minds. You can say it's a bad idea, but I can tell you what was going through their minds. She has 24 million freaking followers on Instagram.
Bad idea.
Right?
Yeah.
So she has a massive following. They look at it like, well, she's putting on the red hat now. She's saying more favorable things about about Trump and the party. She tells this story of, hey, I was under this impression, now I'm under this one. Okay, awesome, great story. Now, people, of course, are going to dig up on her past, but this is purely strategic for them and why they're propping her up. They're looking at it like, if we can get a percentage of people that may follow her, which are probably mostly leftists anyway, that follow her, we can get some people to vote for them. So yeah, you do want to be at least open enough to let those people in. But to your point, it's like, do you prop them up? And this has been one of my big, I guess, criticism. It's not just the Republican Party, but people on the right, far more favorable to people that are like, have expressed one opinion that you agree. It's fine. We're just talking about destiny.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Right? Mm-hmm. And they express one, they get a bunch of other opinions.
Right.
Meanwhile, the standard that people be holding each other that have been here, that you generally will agree with on like 99%, you'll treat them like they're the enemy.
Right.
So that's been my issue there. But,
got about 30 seconds. Yeah.
Very bad idea. You don't elevate individuals that do not share your values. I don't care if she's putting a red hat on. She'll trade that red hat for another hat when the season is right.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm. She's in self-preservation mode. You do not elevate people, and you do not put them in roles of leadership. You can attend, but you can't lead.
Mm-hmm.
You can't speak for us because you're not with us.
Right.
You're a baby food. Right. Get in the car seat.
Right.
You're not driving.
Yeah.
When do we do that in life where it makes sense? You don't.
No.
But we'll give them a microphone. You think they'll give us a microphone at the DNC convention? You think they bring Riley Gaines to the DNC convention?
No.
She happens to like elephants and donkeys, maybe? Come on, man. We're the only ones that do that.
Yeah.
It's sick.
It's hard to understand. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back. Last question to you guys. Is this the worst national anthem of all time? Go.
With broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight.
Can you guys hear this?
Or the ramparts
wish that I couldn't. You were there?
I was there.
So gallantly streamed.
Was it worse in person?
It's
And the rockets
vomit.
Oh no. Oh no.
Vomit in your mouth and then swallow it.
Oh.
Gave proof through the night that our flag was still.
Oh no.
pretty bad. Yeah, that was
Oh no.
rough, bros.
Wow.
Yeah, I was there last night. It was a good night after that.
Yeah, okay, that's enough.
Couple
I
big home
can't.
runs.
I can't anymore. I think that might be the worst of all time.
It is.
She came out, said she was drunk and checking herself into rehab. That happened right before the show. Not even joking.
What?
Fact. No, I'm not making that up. I know it's probably breaking to you. I was reading it right before the end.
Wow.
She said, I ain't gonna lie. She said, I'm not gonna BS y'all.